Jamaicans are more African than certain Africans here on the African continent.
Yeah.
I love these Jamaicans because they know the truth and they know where they're from. They understand Africanism, true Pan-Africanism. Jamaicans
that comes from within for the Jamaicans, African unity, Pan-Africanism.
We need look, Jamaicans, you are welcome to your motherland anytime, any day.
Yeah.
Even in my house, you're welcome. These Jamaican people are the best when it comes to this, and they show so much support even for Burkina Faso's Captain Ibrahim Traore. Yes, the Jamaicans are out here. I saw you guys protesting on the 30th of April in support, in solidarity with Captain Ibrahim Traore.
Do you think of yourself more as an African than a Jamaican?
Yeah, because one of the main things is that we're Rasta. From you accept Rasta, you become an Ethiopian, which is Africa. Next thing again, the history of Jamaica shows that the Arawak Indian was living there, and it belonged to the Arawak Indian. Now, our history shows that through slave business, black people come out of the Western thing, you know. So we still figure say Africa is the root, you know.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And I have a question for you guys. Have you ever wondered if an African country could exist outside of Africa? It might sound crazy, yes, but today we are going to explore exactly that. We are diving deep into the incredible story of Jamaica, a small island nation that in many ways embodies the soul of Africa. We'll be looking at how its culture, language, music, and spirit are so profoundly African that might some even say it's more African than some modern African countries on the continent itself. In this video, I'll uncover the historical events that shaped this identity, from the Transatlantic Slave Trade to powerful resistance movements. We'll explore how languages like Patois and Cromanti have preserved ancient African linguistic roots, and how spiritual practices like Rastafari are deeply tied to African cosmology. We'll also see how reggae music became a global force, exporting African consciousness to the world. So if you're ready to have your mind blown and see a powerful example of resilience and cultural preservation, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to give this video a like, share it with your friends who needs it to see this, and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Your engagement helps us bring you more amazing content like this. But before we get into it, kindly let us watch a few clips that really set the stage. Then I'll be back to break down everything with you guys.
Couche Audibodi. Yes guys, in today's video we're talking about Sierra Leone's language, which is called Creole. This is an English-based Creole language spoken throughout Sierra Leone in West Africa. Native to the Sierra Leone Creole people, or Creoles, a community of descendants from the freed and enslaved from the West Indies, Canada, the US, the British Empire, all freed and enslaved people, the Jamaican Maroons, African Americans, and liberated Africans influenced Creole, but the Jamaican Maroons, Igbo, Yoruba, and Akan liberated Africans were the most influential. Creole is a language on its own and not a pidgin, due to it having a fixed grammatical structure and rules. It is also not broken English. Creole's roots include English, Portuguese, French, and a mix of African languages indigenous to Sierra Leone and other places like Nigeria and Ghana. While most of its vocabulary comes from English, its sound system and grammar are closer to that of nearby African languages, in particular Yoruba. It is also very similar to Nigerian Pidgin and Jamaican Patois. Have you heard of the Cromanti language of Jamaica? It is the mother tongue of the Jamaican Maroons. It was used by them to communicate with their African-born ancestors. The Maroons are descendants of enslaved people who escaped to freedom and formed their own independent communities. Cromanti is just one of the languages of Jamaica and is closely related to the Akan language group of Ghana. Cromanti is also similar to the Creole languages spoken in Suriname.
I just want to repeat the question. Are you Jamaican or African? The question in and of itself is inherently flawed and reeks of bad faith. Because one, Jamaica is a country and Africa is a continent. Secondly, when that question, are you Jamaican or are you African, is asked, the question is not about a ancestry, it's about a present day identity. Jamaicans are very much aware and claim their African ancestry. Many claiming the modern state of Ghana, claiming that the majority of enslaved Jamaicans came from the Gold Coast, while others lay claim to the modern state of Nigeria, claiming terms such as Red Igbo and words like Uno being their rationale. And there's even a few who cite Sierra Leone as their ancestral place of origin due to the fact that many enslaved Jamaicans actually were sent back to Sierra Leone and the similarity between Jamaican Patois and Sierra Leone Creole.
Good people, welcome back. That was powerful. The story of Jamaica is not just about an island. It is a profound tale of survival, resilience, and a deep-rooted cultural identity that refused to die. Today, we're going to break down exactly how historical events transformed the transatlantic slave trade into a cultural revolution that continues to speak to Africans globally. First, let us talk about the transatlantic slave trade. And between the 17th and 19th centuries, hundreds of thousands of enslaved Africans were forcibly brought to Jamaica. They came primarily from West Africa, with large numbers from regions that are now Ghana, Nigeria, and Congo. And the brutal oppression and human conditions they faced, these people did not lose their cultural heritage. Instead, they preserved it, effectively transplanting African traditions onto Jamaican soil where they could flourish. It is this very act of preservation that forms the bedrock of Jamaica's African identity. This historical context of change, rebellion, and survival led to the preservation of various African cultural elements that are still vibrant until today. Let us start with the language. While English is the official language, Jamaican Patois or Patois is the soul of the nation. It has unmistakably African linguistic roots with syntax and vocabulary patterns that echo the Igbo and Congo languages. Think about it. Many Jamaicans still use African words every day without realizing it. But perhaps even more incredible is the Cromanti language, the mother tongue of the Jamaican Maroons. This language is closely related to the Akan language group of Ghana and was used to communicate with the African-born ancestors. It is a direct living link to the continent. The influence of the Maroons is so strong that their legacy and language are also profound in other regions like Suriname, and even contributed to the development of the Sierra Leone Creole language. Next, we have the spiritual and religious ties. While colonialism and other religions diluted traditional beliefs in some African countries, Jamaicans held on to them, sometimes openly, sometimes underground. The most powerful example is Rastafari. This spiritual movement is deeply rooted in African cosmology, especially Akan and Yoruba traditions. Rastafari is a Pan-African movement that not only praises Ethiopia but crowns Africa as the promised land. It is a testament to how deeply spiritual practices were preserved and amplified in Jamaica. And what about music? Jamaican music, including reggae and dancehall, is often described as African resurrected. The offbeat rhythms, the call and the response patterns, and the chants are directly derived from West African oral traditions. This music is more than just entertainment. It is a form of resistance, a way of storytelling, and a vessel for ancestral memory. Through artists like Marley, the African sound has been exported globally, becoming a powerful symbol of liberation and consciousness. And this brings us to the cultural consciousness and Pan-Africanism. This is where Jamaica truly stands out. While many newly independent African nations adopted Western dress, names, and values after gaining their freedom, Jamaica chose a different path. It chose to amplify Africanness. This is an evident in practices like dreadlocks and the natural hair movement, the use of Afrocentric names, and a deep adherence to African philosophy. Through the legacies of figures like Bob Marley and Marcus Garvey and numerous grassroots movements, Jamaica has arguably done more to preserve and export African consciousness than many African nations themselves. The global recognition of Jamaican culture is a recognition of its African roots. Jamaicans are also incredibly aware of their ancestral claims and identity. Many trace their roots to Ghana, citing the historical importance of the Gold Coast. Others claim a strong connection to Nigeria, with some even using the term Red Igbo to identify their heritage. A few even cite Sierra Leone as a sort of place of origin, and given the historical ties and the linguistic similarities between Jamaican Patois and the Sierra Leone Creole. This deep-seated knowledge and pride in their lineage is a core part of their identity. And the source we use today put it perfectly, stating that Jamaica is like Africa's child, but it's also a mirror, and sometimes the reflection is clearer from a distance, quote unquote. This powerful analogy highlights how Jamaica serves as a profound global mirror for African consciousness, its unique history of slavery coupled with the immense resilience and determination of its people transform a horrific experience into a cultural revolution that resonates with every person on of African descent, whether they are in Africa or in the diaspora. In essence, the Jamaican culture is a living, breathing testimony to the fact that you can remove a person from Africa, but you can never remove the Africa from the person, right? The country's music, language, and spiritual practices, overall consciousness are not just remnants of the past. They are vibrant, powerful expressions of a heritage that continues to thrive and inspire the world. Guys, thank you so much for joining on this journey. I hope this video has given you a new perspective on Jamaica and the incredible strengths of its African identity. But before you go, remember to like, comment, and let us keep this important conversation going on. Until next time, people, good people, stay blessed.